Okay, John.
G'day Archie, how are you, mate?
The homeless and down and out in Melbourne.
Bit shocking, isn't it, really?
And I got to be completely frank with you. It's really confrontational. You see these people, I don't want to be rude, but they're kind of like street urchins. They don't look healthy.
I'm an early riser, Paul. I got up early this morning before daylight and went for a walk, and just outside the hotel where we're staying, and you've seen it yourself this morning.
Yeah.
There was a bloke sleeping there for the night out the front of the hotel on the concrete under a doona. Yeah. And I went for a walk, and as I came back, he'd woken up. He was walking down the street. Now, this bloke doesn't look like he's washed for a month. Yes. I'd say. A big bloke like you. Yes. A big bloke like you, and his pants were too big for him, and they were sort of falling down past his backside, and you could sort of see the back of his backside walking down the street. But what concerned me is that where he'd been sitting on the ground, all his back was covered in like dirt. It was all brown, and dirt. Like the man hadn't had a wash for weeks, I'd say, and he had no pride in himself. He didn't even have the effort to pull up his pants. I see. And it wasn't until his pants sort of dropped down past his backside, he sort of hooked them up, and it only went halfway. And he continued to walk on, and
I think the problem is this homelessness is because they've closed a lot of the mental health facilities down.
Oh, well, there was actually an article on the news this morning where they were saying that these homeless people, they get benefits from the government, and they're saying that they're abusing their benefits by spending it on alcohol and cigarettes and drugs, as opposed to buying themselves necessities such as clothes and food, and accommodation. And they're giving examples of the Northern Territory, how they've recently instituted this program. Instead of dishing out money, you have a card. You have a card where you can go to the supermarket and get so much worth of food, and instead of the actual cash. And they said that I think it was over the last 12 months that analysed that there'd been a decrease in alcohol consumption by 41%, which is almost almost half decrease, because instead of going to the bottle shop with their $200 a week, buying a couple of bottles of whiskey, they had to buy some food for the family. But I can't it was shocking. Didn't you find it was shocking, seeing these blokes in the, that he was drunk that last night. He had the bottle of sherry there. The lid was still on. And he just had. You remember that bloke we were walking past last night and saw him?
What about the ones this morning? These two guys. They just looked so filthy and ice type of people there, and they just spat in the middle of the street. You see that on the footpath.
It's very easy.
They're really just
very easy to fall on hard times, I imagine, but. It's as if they had sort of no hope or anything, no self-respect at all, or and every person
they look like schemers. That you looked at them, you think these guys they're opportunists. You dropped your wallet, they wouldn't even question, do I give that back? If they were.
But you notice how people walk down the street? And I did it, and I noticed you did too. It's intimidating, their presence, because as you're passing, they're putting out their hand, give me some money. So you're sort of feeling guilty that you're not giving them money or something as a tip, but people actually veering to avoid them. Because there's nothing attractive as seeing
panhandlers on the street.
Why is this permitted?
This is a very affluent city we live in, Melbourne. This is
across the road from the Block AK, possibly the best shopping area in Melbourne. I've got people sleeping on the asphalt on the ground in the middle of winter. This is,
there's haves and have-nots, John. These are obviously the have-nots. They've fallen on hard times, and they've.
But can't they get accommodation under a roof?
The problem is, to sleep on a lot of the hostels have rules. You can't be drunk or stoned.
Yeah, well, those ones we saw last night, he was on another planet, that bloke, wasn't he?
Oh, shit.
So he had one empty bottle of sherry, that was empty, and he had one half drunk there with the lid off, and he was unconscious.
Say the average the life expectancy of a homeless person is 51. It's a hard life, really. It's not
something to aspire to, is it really? You know, like
no, it's not something you really.
No, like and then this bloke this morning we saw it. He wasn't an old bloke. He would have been in his,
no,
wouldn't have been over 30. He's bigger bloke than you. He was.
Yeah, no, it's a hard. They really. I don't know what the problem is, John. It's.
Well, yeah, I've got no solution to it, but I can't see why. It's not a good look, is it?
You can't. If you take them off the street, where do you take them to? Okay, the police round them up, and what do you do with them?
Well, that was the situation down here in Flinders Street. They had hundreds of them outside Flinders Street station, and they were all moved on. And I believe the state government actually found them accommodation, and they made arrangements to find them accommodation. But some people, I think, rejected it. You know, they didn't want this accommodation for one reason or the other. They were talking about free accommodation, the government which was providing them. And I said, oh, I don't like it. Like, beggars can't be choosers, can they?
No.
But I noticed it in Sydney last year when I was up there too, the people on the street.
Yes, they're very aggressive, very street urchins,
very... Didn't notice many Asians, though. You see any Asian? Didn't see any Asian street urchins, did you?
No, it's sort of, these street urchins, I remember one old bag there, she goes, don't film me. I said, she's panhandling. I said, you got a permit, love? Just nasty, very, very nasty, vicious, nasty. I don't know what to say. Some of these homeless people there, I mean, I feel sorry for them. I understand we could all be homeless, John.
Yes.
It doesn't take much. A few bad circumstances, it's, I think a lot of it is also mental illness too.
Well, yes, that's what we alluded to at the start. That
like you think about it, you're a husband and wife, the wife catches you with someone else for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a great job, but you lose it.
Yeah, you're out on the street.
You're out on the street, limited money, you're on welfare.
Mm.
You don't have much savings. A lot of these people don't have much savings. They don't have any savings. And before you know it, you're living dole payment to dole payment, aren't you?
Yes.
And accommodation is hard. The problem is you want to go to a hostel, you can't be drunk, you can't be this. There's rules. They don't want to live by the rules.
Well, imagine if we're in a situation they weren't getting compensation. They weren't getting the dole or getting some sort of compensation. Well, the crime rate would certainly be a lot higher, wouldn't it? They'd be instead of putting their hand out on the street, they'd be robbing you on the street.
Yeah, a lot of them actually don't get benefits because they don't have an address, and Centrelink is actually very tricky to get Centrelink. Like, they've made it hard. So a lot of these people on the street aren't actually getting benefits
because there is no fixed address.
No, well, it's also difficult to apply. You need a birth certificate. You need an ID. Some of these people are kind of transient. They've lost their stuff.
Oh, well, they can be obtained birth certificates.
But these people have a lot of them have mental illnesses. We've said.
It looks like it. From what we've seen walking down the street, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a very, very sad reflection on society. This is one of the most affluent societies in the world.
Yeah, we seem to have nutters walking around.
Yes.
Like legitimate nutters, not nutters like you and me.
No,
these are legitimate ones, right over the beam. We coming in on the train with Trevor yesterday. We had one that was a screw loose, and the announcements you get on the train. The next station is South Yarra.
Yeah.
Well, we had a little Sir Echo up the end of the train, and just before the public announcement came on, they'd be sitting up there. Then the next station will be South Yarra, stopping all stations to Flinders Street, and it went along all the way, and people were getting up and moving away, but obviously there was a screw loose there.
Yeah.
Like that announcement, and then the voiceover from the train would come over. And everyone's turning around. What is the speaker system faulty in the train? No, it was this one
lunatics.
One unit lunatic announcing the stations, 40 stations all the way from Belgrave. I think they announced. What can you do? What can you do?
John, that is life. And it's another episode of the SUKAHORN with SUKAHORN in Melbourne.
Good stuff, Arch.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
Go.